Well, welcome to our winter special, part one. We're going to be building a little winter scene using very similar techniques to what we've shown you already. But yeah, just something for Christmassy and snowy type scenes. So for my Christmas scene, I am going to build it inside this box. So I need to cut the front down and probably cut the sides. I'll leave the back so I can put a printed background on the back and we'll put the scenery inside the actual box. Well, I found an image of some mountains that I took when I was on holiday. My printer's run out of colour ink, so I've had to print it out in black and white for the moment. But I will print it out in colour ready for the display. So I'm probably going to laminate it so that it makes it a bit stiffer, and then I can stick it to the cardboard box. So here's my cardboard box. At the moment I've just left some little angles on the front just to make it a little bit more steadier, but I'm probably going to cut some line down just so it sort of slopes down a bit, and then I'm going to get my printed scenery obviously, and I'm going to put that on the back of the box so we can start that scenery, and then of course now we're going to build some scenery in the middle. I'm going to put a little track in here, we'll put some trees on and some rocks and things, a bit of scenery to make it look like a winter scene. Well, I folded a couple of pieces of cardboard and glued them to the back, so that's now going to provide support for that back so that it doesn't keep falling down all the time, so that when I glue my background to it, it will stay upright. So when people send you packages, they quite often send you rolled up bits of paper to fill out the packages as well. So I'm going to use this paper to screw up into sort of balls and make my scenery, or the base level for my scenery. So I found a spare piece of foam that I'm going to cut to size in the box so that then I can sort of push some things into the foam so we can use that for part of the scenery as well, and carve away a bit of the edge to look like the edge of a sort of rock face. So there we have one piece of foam cut into the box in the right shape and size. So we've got our laminator heated up. I've got my temporary laminated scenery backdrop. So I'm going to put that into the laminator, and that is very kindly going to put that plastic covering around the outside so that I can use that as a stiff backdrop. And then later on I'll replace it with the colour one, but just for now I can use this while I'm building the layout. Now the good thing is that the plaster and stuff won't stick to the plastic, so it's not going to stick to the backdrop, so I can replace it later on without any problems. So there's my laminated backdrop now. See, it's got plastic on both sides, so we can stick that onto the back of the cardboard box. Well, I found some pieces of track, so we can use a bit of track there. What I was thinking of doing was putting the track at a bit of an angle, and then maybe put in some trees in front. So I can put some trees in front of the line, so it looks a bit nicer. I've got some more trees here, for example. And another one, I've lost another tree somewhere. Oh, here's my other tree. And yeah, maybe put a tree behind. There. I can make some other trees as well. So I'll have the railway just running through the trees there. And then also I've got some spare pieces of foam. So I was thinking maybe we can, maybe make a few bigger areas in a couple of places, maybe down the side or something, and then I can put some paper over those as well, a bit of plaster, make some more rocks and things, and we can carve away the front, and again put some more trees, and then we'll cover it all with snow. Well, we've got roughly where our track is. I've marked on the board where the track will go. I put a bit of a rock over here, another rock over there, and I've put a rock along the back as well, so I can blend all of that into the landscape. And then we've got like a horizon where I can put some bushes and things up there as well to blend that into the trees on the background. Well, I've glued all of the foam now back onto the other piece of foam. So I've used some super glue, so hopefully that will dry quickly. And then I can put some of the other paper over the other areas. Well, I had an idea. As it's foam, I can cut a little ravine down the centre of the scene. So that can be like just a little dip. And the pieces that I cut out, I can put by the sides as well to elevate that particular area also. Just makes it a little bit more interesting rather than just all flat. Well, I've just put some temporary trees in just to see how it's looking. Maybe this tree doesn't go very well, but these trees are really nice. So I can make some more of those. You see my ravine and the little background. So yeah, it's starting to look quite nice. So the next thing to do is to start putting on some plaster, maybe a few bits of paper just to fill in some gaps. And then we'll paint it and see what happens. Thank you, Ruby, for helping me with the commentary. So we've got some of that Amazon brown paper that we that we'll glue down in there. So I'll just get some glue that in, and then we can put the plaster cloth over the whole lot. So all that is now glued down with PVA. You can see the white PVA at the front there. So then the next job is to put all the plaster cloth over the top of all of these structures. So our little scene in a box is coming together. So the next thing to do is to paint some plaster of Paris over the whole surface, over all the areas, just to cover up that base, that plaster base. Well, we've moved inside, back into the house, because it's a little bit cold out in the workshop at the moment. So I'm wanting this plaster to dry nicely, so it's sat there drying most of the day. It's nearly dry, there's a couple of little patches that are still a little bit damp. And now I'm going to mix up some plaster of Paris and paint that over the surface. So I've got my little cardboard box down just to protect my table so I don't make a mess everywhere. And yeah, we'll just get on with mixing up some plaster. So remember we always add the plaster to the water, not the other way around. And reminding myself of the direction, so 1.5 cups of plaster to 1 cup of water. So if I've got 2 cups of water, I need then 3 cups of plaster. So if I've got 4 cups of water, I need 6 cups of plaster. Okay, so 8 cups of water is 12 cups of plaster. So we now 12 cups of plaster into that. Yeah, my plaster has gone all solid. I don't know why that is. So that's not very good, is it? Maybe I mixed too much. Okay, so we finished covering the plaster. I think the moral of this story is don't believe the mixing ratios on the plaster box. So you just mix it according to how it looks and feels. There was just far too much plaster in there. So now with a lot more water and less plaster, that's given me a better cover over the plaster cloth. And yeah, even like the scraping with the paintbrush, that's created nice sort of pattern, so that'll be good for the snow finish once we sort of paint it and cover it. So now we're going to let that dry. It's going to take quite a while to dry now, and then we can look at painting it. Well, if you remember a while back, quite a few months ago, we were making these trees. So I'm just doing the same thing again. So I've got my little sticks and I am cutting up some pieces of wire and then poking the pieces of wire into the tree so we can make a little tree stem. And then I'm going to use the static grass to cover it, a bit of flock, and then we'll use our white Christmas snow to cover the trees as well. So I'm on my second tree now. They take quite a while to do, but I shall build, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 different trees for this particular layout. So the board is drying nicely, so it's all dried up nice and hard, so I'm glad about that. It's cracked a little bit. Some of the plaster dried a bit quicker, so it's cracked. But anyway, I'm going to paint it over, so that should cover up most of the cracks. But hey, a few cracks probably will add a bit of character to the scene as well. So we're getting there bit by bit. Well, I've built 9 trees, and I just put them in the spray booth and spraying them brown. The next job then will be to put the leaves on, and then we're ready to put some snow on. So we're going to paint all of the area with snow, well, snow colour, which is mainly white. So we've got some white here, but also in snow, it does reflect the colours a little bit. So in the background, we're going to have a blue sky. So we'll put a tiny little bit of blue here and there. Also the trees will reflect, which is a bit of brown, maybe a little bit of green somewhere as well. So we'll put those, mix those in tiny little bits with the white and sort of cover it over so it's not all plain white. So you'll see as I paint, I'll add in a few colours and we'll see how we get it all covered. So here you see the finished article. You can see most of it's white, but there's hints of blue and some green and a bit of brown on the tops as well. So it's not perfectly white. When this is dried off, I'm going to put a little bit of black wash down the centre as well, so we highlight the ditch. And then of course I'm going to put some snow on as well. And then the trees when we finish the trees. Well, we covered our tree armatures with static grass, the green static grass. And then after that, the green coarse turf, again using the spray glue. So you see these are drying, so once they're dry I'll shake a bit of the excess off as well. But I'm actually quite pleased with the results, they've come out pretty well. So my little forest is coming together, ready for the ski scene, well, snow scene, sorry. I'm going to glue the track down now. So I've got my PVA, white PVA glue. I'm going to put glue on the back of the track and also on the base. There's a lot of places where the track actually isn't really touching because I've put the plaster on, so but anyway, it's okay. I'll glue it and it should stay in one place. So we've got glue on the track. And then let's put glue on the base. And there it goes. To weigh him down with something. So I'm going to put on, I've got a paintbrush I can put on there. And then put that on top maybe. That should balance on there. To hold him in place. We'll leave that for 15-20 minutes until that dries. And then we can start putting some ballast on as well. I'm going to make a little bridge where the railway goes over that little ravine. So I've cut up some little pieces of balsa wood and I'm soaking them overnight now in some brown wash, just a bit of brown paint and some water so that they all soak in. And then I can then cut them up into smaller pieces so that I can use them to make my little bridge. I've glued the track down now with some PVA. Next thing I'm going to do now is to put some ballast on that particular track. So I've got myself a little spoon, I've got some bit of glue that I'm going to be using. So I'm just going to paint down the edges of the track first, put some ballast on there, and then I will do some in the middle as well. So now I'm just going to put some glue on the ballast to glue it all in, and then hopefully we're done. I've got my little pieces of wood out of the brown wash, so we'll let those dry out and then I can use those to build my little bridge. Well, the ballast has dried out nicely, so now I can sort of paint it a little bit with a bit of white paint, just to look a bit like snow, and then we'll put some snow scatter on top of that as well. Well, I look forward to seeing you next time for part 2.
8:30 p.m.